On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome Leah Linscheid to the Buck and Honey's remote studios and the Team 212 AEA Institute Mental Health Desk. Leah shares her powerful journey through grief after the tragic loss of her brother, Levi, and how she found healing, purpose, and hope while honoring his legacy. You won't want to miss this inspiring conversation. This will be a good one. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora, and we are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios at the Team 212 and AEA Institute Mental Health Desk on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast and get access to previous episodes on all those podcast platforms at Survive and Thrive 8791, the podcast. Don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you like what you heard. If there's a topic or you know a guest who would love to share their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, think, and heal, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects, such as, but not limited to, grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, mental illness, success despite challenges, etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. Website reminder before I introduce our esteemed guest, pretty in pink today. I'd like to highlight a couple of websites. CoachDecorahLLC.com, where you can book me to come and speak to your place of business, school, or group. I love doing that. SurviveandThrive8791.com. You can see what we are doing and the events we are hosting. If you're a business or an advocate for mental health and recovery, we invite you to partner with us through sponsorship opportunities. Please contact us at surviveandthrive8791@gmail.com. This is our guest and episode intro. According to the internet, and the internet is always right, correct, Leah?
100% of the time.
100% of the time. I think we've had over 100 guests, and I have not had somebody say 100%. All of the time, most of the time, some of the time, but you said 100%.
You'll learn I'm sarcastic, sir.
All right. Well, in my house, I don't need the internet. I don't need Siri. I don't need Alexa. I have Sarah, my wife, and she's always right.
That's true.
Sound familiar?
You're a smart husband. Oh, my goodness.
Sound familiar? Is Leah always right in your house?
Well, should be, but I don't know that my husband is, quite at the IQ level that you are. I got to talk to him.
Oh, boy. Okay, it's getting thick around here. According to an AI artificial intelligence overview, while there's no exact nationwide statistic for exactly how many adults lose a sibling each year, extensive demographic and grief studies provide clear insight into the phenomena. Here are the key statistics regarding adult sibling loss. Lifetime prevalence. Approximately 25% of Americans will experience the death of a sibling by the time they are 40 years old. Childhood and early adulthood loss. About 7 to 9% of young American adults lose a sibling before they reach age 25. Prevalence in adulthood. The risk of sibling bereavement increases significantly as individuals move into middle and older adulthood. Along with me, today's guest has joined a group that no one wants to be in, to lose a sibling at a young age. Today, I welcome Leah Linscheid to the Buck and Honey's remote studios and the Team 212 AEA Institute Mental Health Desk. Leah grew up in Highland, Wisconsin, a community located just a little over an hour west of Madison. She attended Highland High School and is a proud Cardinal. After high school, Leah would take her talents to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where she would graduate with a degree in journalism and political science. She has spent most of her professional career as a TV anchor. Today, I'm so glad you could join us. Leah Linscheid, what is up?
Thanks so much for having me, Tim. You have a great voice. You have a voice for TV broadcast.
Now, I'm going to quote a quote here, but somebody said that my friends told me that I have the voice of an angel.
I agree with that.
It's a little raspy today, but
Fergie and Jesus.
Fergie and Jesus. Yeah, there you go. You know what movie I'm talking about, don't you?
Hell yeah.
Well, I am so glad to have you here. It's been a little bit of a A little bit, but I'm so glad. And we're not going to throw any barbs at anybody.
Oh, I'll throw myself under the bus. I have been tough to schedule with. That is for sure. Not because of Tim. Tim is fantastic. Your podcast is amazing. I think what you're doing is amazing. But yeah, I started a new job. I got some young kids, and I've been less than easy to get a hold of.
Busy, busy, busy.
It's true. I'm a little bee.
Well, I think what is kind of cool here is that I can hopefully pick up some pointers from you, because you are usually the one that's kind of leading the charges. And now today you get to be co-pilot. I get to lead a little bit and you kind of get to follow.
It'll be interesting. I'm used to being the one asking the questions, so we'll see how I do here.
You also like to provide information and resources by telling other people's stories. And we're going to get to hear your story today. And I will be the one kind of sharing some of your stuff, but you're also sharing it too, because it's a powerful, powerful story.
I like to think so. I think a lot of people can sort of associate with what both of us have gone through. Maybe not the exact same type of loss, but everyone has experienced loss and grief in their life. So they know what this feeling is.
Yeah, I don't know if there's many people outside my inner circle that know that you and I share a common bond, which kind of drew me to you. And then the fact that we would wake up to you every morning at 5:30 or 6 o'clock on the Channel 3 News, and there you were telling us what was going on in the world. But I had a genuine pull to you when I heard your story, and I'm like, goodness gracious, there's somebody else out there. And I know I just blurted out some stats, but there are tons of us out there that have had to deal with that at a young age. I was 34 when my brother passed away. If I got it right, 36. Take that back. And that's still very young.
I'm impressed that you share your story, though, because what you are doing with your loss is really quite impressive. The lives you're touching with this podcast and being willing to speak about it. You know, that's hard on me, so I know it must be hard on you as well.
Well, I think it gets easier to talk about it. It's still never easy, but the longer, I suppressed that. I didn't want to tell anybody that happened.
Same.
And then once I started talking about it, it became easier, and it's part of my healing process. And there's so many people that suppress it and keep it down. And we'll talk about the stages of grief where people get stuck. And I don't think I'm stuck anymore. I probably wasn't and didn't even know it until somebody had to share their story with me. And hopefully that happens today.
I hope so. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Before we get to your story, I need to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's Restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. Do you cook? And if so, genre, style, or cuisine?
I can't say I'm a good cook. I can make a mean peanut butter jelly, Tim.
Mean peanut butter and jelly?
Mean.
You come from a small town, which we'll talk about, that I think, I envision people in Highland, maybe parents, grandparents, like cooking over a hot stove. It's a farming community. What do they call that? From farm to table.
Yeah.
And I could imagine you just being able to whip up some bread and a pot roast.
I have been known to make a pot roast, that's for sure. But you get into a stage of life where you're so busy. I used to love cooking with my parents and as I grew up. But right now, it's not my season of life right now, Tim.
It is
you
not.
Check in 10 years and I'll be right back in the kitchen.
All right, let's go back to what did you like to cook with your mom?
Good question. We would make homemade TV dinners. Let me explain. So it's tin foil, and then we would put hamburger and cut up potatoes and some sort of vegetable in there, and then we would cook those in the oven. And I loved them. My dad actually was a big driver of that meal, but I still make those camping. You make them over the campfire.
I was going to say, I hope you share those with your kids.
Oh, on occasion.
At some point. Well, with their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere, people keep coming back with locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Waunakee, and Mount Horeb. Most communities in Dane County, which encompasses the Madison metropolitan area, can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. Drum roll on my Menards table. Menards, if you're listening, Menards.
That was good.
Have you been to Buck and Honey's?
I was just there on Saturday. Big fan of Buck and Honey's.
Big fan. Now, which one?
We went to the Monona one. We have a boat, so we took some friends over there for drinks and appetizers.
I was going to say you can get there by boat, car, horseback, walk, run,
Bicycle, tricycle.
Uber.
Exactly.
And you got there by one of the better ways.
That's right.
So what's your favorite meal?
They have fantastic cheese curds. I'm a Wisconsin girl, love my cheese curds. They have a buffalo chicken salad that I always order there. And they had some ahi tuna on the appetizer menu that we got this time with some crispy rice. That's it. That was it.
You had me at ahi tuna.
I know, you and me both.
All right. On the podcast, our guests follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment 1 from the Team 212 AEA Institute Mental Health Desk, we talk about what was it like. We get into Leah's history, what happened to get Leah on the podcast. And in segment 2, we continue to talk about what happened and get into what it's like now. And we discuss Leah's 5 suggestions for thriving. Now, before we get started, I want to mention our mental health desk sponsor, Bill Friedig and Team 212 and the AEA Institute. I want to welcome them to the podcast. I want to start with a question, and this is not for you, but this would be just a general question for people listening, is what if your best years were still ahead of you? Bill Friedig at Team 212 Training partnered with the AEA Institute. That's why we are working with both of them to build the mind, body for lasting health and well-being, a real retirement strategy, mental performance, resilience, recovery. Learn more at the AEA Institute at www.aea-neuro-fitness-academy.com. Say that 5 times as fast as you can.
You did a great job.
Thanks.
Very impressed.
All right, segment 1. What was it like before and what happened? So you grew up in Highland, Wisconsin, population 800 plus. Salute.
It was so small. It was so small.
It was graduating from Highland High School. And you're a proud Cardinal, correct?
Indeed.
Tell us about what life was like growing up for you.
I am extremely proud of where I grew up. I love being a small town girl. I love being a Wisconsinite. I love being from Southwest Wisconsin. Highland, while small, is extremely mighty. Everyone has your back. Everyone is probably your cousin. So everyone...
Don't mess with anyone.
Don't mess with folks from Highland, let me tell you. We're a tight-knit group, so I really felt like I grew up with several sets of parents, several sets of grandparents, really just a family in that town that helped raise me and brought me to where I was today. And when I rose through the ranks at News 3 as a news reporter and then anchor for the morning show, my hometown was really proud of me and really had my back. And I tried to repay that by doing a lot of stories on Highland and Southwest Wisconsin because there's so much good in that community that you don't necessarily get to see if you're living in Madison. You spend a little too much time within the confines of Dane County, also a beautiful area, somewhere I call home now, but that Driftless region, there's a lot of stories to tell there. So I am forever grateful for how those folks raised me.
Well, like your brother, I was a UW-Platteville pioneer.
I saw that.
And I absolutely fell in love with the southwest part of the state. Just because, for example, you would meet somebody from Cuba City at some point on campus, and then automatically you knew or were introduced to people from Darlington, and then Darlington to South Wayne, Gratiot, and then all of a sudden you were to Monroe. Then you go up the other way, you got Lancaster, and then you know somebody from Fenimore, and then Cassville and Prairie, and then going towards your way, Highland and Boscobel and Riverdale and Montfort. I could go on and on about that.
I'm impressed that you know all those towns.
I could go on and on just because I have so many people down there that I've met, and I just fell in love because everybody wants to get to know you too,
yep. Mm-hmm.
and who you are. And then unfortunately they would disappear on Thursday nights, go back to the farm or go back and
true.
Work. And
yeah.
The rest
hardworking
of us were
folks.
There. Hardworking folks. In high school, what were some of your favorite memories? I know you played some sports, maybe a sport memory and a non-sport memory?
Sure. Okay. So it was a small town, so you really had to play all sports or they would be hard-pressed to have a team. So I played volleyball, basketball, and softball through high school. Great memories. through that experience. Softball, we were really, really good. I can't say I was very good. I'll be the first to admit that, but we were really good. We went to state twice while I was in high school. Yeah. My cousin Lacey Pastina was our pitcher, and she was absolutely fantastic.
And that's what you need in girls softball.
Exactly. And I do believe that her niece just went to state for Mineral Point. So
really?
Yeah, we keep it in the family for sure.
I think they won it too, Mineral Point.
They did. Yep, they did. Yeah. So that's really exciting. I had a lot of fun, learned a lot of lessons through sports, through teamwork and collaboration and working hard.
I've had a couple of other guests. There was two from Richland Center.
Sure.
And then another fella from up north, and they said the same exact thing. You would get done with basketball practice, and then grab a bologna sandwich and go to the other end of the building where the play was going on.
Yep.
And you had to kind of do everything.
Yep.
Which is so cool.
And so that's my other memory, is being involved in choir and then band. Because again, it's a small town. You were simply expected to be involved in everything. So I played the saxophone in band. Mrs. Straka was my band teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she just recently left, but she was a fantastic instructor and coach and mentor. But some of my favorite memories are the high school band in the parade for homecoming, doing pep band for some of the basketball games for the boys. Just a lot of memories of collaboration, I would say.
Teamwork, getting to know one another.
Yeah.
Stepping outside your comfort zone.
Being a cog in the wheel. You were always a cog in the wheel.
Cog in the wheel. I like that one. Tell us about your family, mom, dad, and brother. Spin some yarns about them.
Oh my gosh, my family. I could not speak highly enough of them. My mom and dad, I could not have asked for a better set of parents. My mom was the administrator at a local nursing home and worked long hours, but somehow managed to never miss a game, never miss a play, never miss a choir concert.
Sound familiar to somebody I know.
Oh, I don't know.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I hope so. I like to think that I learned my work ethic from her, certainly. And then I like to think that I learned my family values from my father, who was around. He worked sort of a third shift very early in the morning. And so he was always home for the end of the school day. He was the one who did all of the cooking, really. Mom was a fantastic baker, but she would work a little bit later than him, so he would pick up the slack on the cooking. He would be the catcher when I was practicing pitching. So I remember doing that over and over. He'd be in the garage and I would be in the driveway. They were the best parents with the best values. And I know my brother would feel the same way. I had a younger brother named Levi, who was 4 years younger. We were extremely close. It's hard not to be, again, in a small town and in a small family like that. He was extremely religious, very religious young man, very close with his grandma for that reason. We loved our grandma, but Levi had a special bond with her over their shared love of Catholicism and praying the rosary. He was also an athlete. He was extremely good at sports. He ended up being a personal trainer when he graduated and throughout college as well. So he's very fit, would always spend a lot of time in the gym. Best morals.
So when you were a senior, was he a freshman, or when you went out, he came in?
I was a senior in college when he was a senior in high school. So we were 4 years apart. Yep. Okay. So we never went to high school together.
Boo.
I know, that would have been so fun.
And you would have been protecting him from all of your gal pals.
I would have enjoyed that. But honestly, it was probably better that I wasn't in high school with him. I don't know if, kids, I might have bullied him too much.
Oh, you have a family of your own. Husband, Zach, couple of boys, and a dog. Talk about them.
You're right. I am married to Zach. We're both UW-Madison graduates. We met in college, but we did not date in college. We sort of just fell out of touch in college. We were friends briefly. And then probably 6 years after college, we reconnected on a Badger game day, which feels very fitting because we're both diehard Badger fans.
Of course.
Our first baby was our fur baby. That's Bascom, named after Bascom Hill.
I remember when you had, I believe, didn't you have a naming, asking the viewers to chime in?
Yes, I did. Oh my gosh, you tuned in. I'm impressed. But yeah, Bascom, she's a Bernese Mountain Dog, 100 pounds of love. She's a beautiful lady. She's my only girl. I have 2 boys, Zeke, named after my father, and Eli Levi, named after my brother.
And they're a handful.
They are a handful.
3 and 2.
Yes, they are running around like crazy. Last night, you should have seen us at bedtime, just truly running around the house trying to corral these young kids.
After high school, You just touched on it. You took your talents to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. What was the lure to Madison?
Oh boy, I have always been very proud to be from Wisconsin. So for me, there was really no question of what school I would go to. It is this flagship university that sort of symbolizes all that Wisconsin is. So that's definitely why I went. At the time, I wanted to go to be a lawyer. So I did political science and journalism as sort of an add-on major to practice my writing. But I ended up falling in love with journalism, specifically the photography aspect of it. Through News 3, I took an internship there and never looked back.
Did you want to be the person on the sideline, like taking photos or behind the camera? Instead, you wound up in front of the camera?
In news, you spend a lot of time doing both. So I always knew I wanted to do both. You could ask, I had a first grade teacher who once told me I talked too much. And she was right.
And it's a strong point.
Yeah. What can I say? So I turned it into a career. So I did always think that I would be in a career that would utilize my oratorial skills, but I didn't expect to love the camera so much. I really love taking pictures. I love taking video. I loved that creative outlet. So to marry the two of them, to be able to take the video and then be the one presenting it, was really a love story of a career for me.
And then you probably, once you got entrenched in telling the story, you probably got to tell the story and didn't have to break it down anymore. Somebody else did that.
Oh no, I did it all,
you did?
Tim. Oh yeah, I do all of it. Oh
wow,
yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I loved that. I loved it. It's so creative. It's such an important job. It's such an important job to be telling the stories of Southern Wisconsin. So I'm very proud of it.
I know you have a ton of stories that you have told, but is there one or two that really made you think, wow, that was really good? Even I'm impressed. And then hearing from the viewers, you did such a great job with that piece. Is there one or two that you would like to share?
Boy, there are so many impactful ones, some that are rather sad that I will skip over for now, but there are two that stand out. One is very lighthearted. It was a story out of my hometown of Highland. There were 5 couples who were all celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary at the same time. So I did a story on them. That was really fun for me to be able to go back to Highland and highlight these people that I sort of grew up around, and really symbolized what I think we all hope for in marriage and life and family. So that was a really fun story to do.
Did you get invited?
I did. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm 70.
No matter what, I'm coming.
The second story was actually with Levi. So it was the 5-year anniversary of a tornado that hit down in Platteville and injured a woman. She was picked up by the tornado and thrown about, very, very injured. I want to say she ended up having surgery, maybe had a head injury. And Levi was her personal trainer and helped her learn to function again. So I got to interview my brother. And I was so proud of him. I was so, so proud of him. So that sticks out to me as a really great story.
Probably nothing for him to do that just because of, you said, his religious background, and how can I be of assistance to the rest of mankind? Well, I can start with the person who I worked with. And then, yeah, that's just the kind of stuff he did.
Oh,
right?
Man, he was so humble, though. You would never know what a saint he was unless you knew him.
After graduation, you would start your broadcast news career in La Crosse, Wisconsin at WKBT Channel 8 before returning to WISC-TV 3, the CBS affiliate in Madison, Wisconsin. Tell us about some of your professional memories. Do you have any from La Crosse? I know you weren't there very long.
I wasn't, just a couple months, but I loved La Crosse. La Crosse is such an outdoorsy city, so I spent a lot of time in the bluffs and in the water. Had a great time there.
Granddad's Bluff.
Granddad's Bluff. Oh, yeah, look at you. You know what you're talking about. But while I was in La Crosse, I got the opportunity to go and cover the Final Four when the Wisconsin Badgers went, because one of the players was from La Crosse.
Bronson Koenig.
Bronson Koenig. Yeah, so I
Shout
got to
out
go and
Bronson
cover him.
Koenig, one of my best buddies.
Yeah. Oh, I loved him. He was fantastic to interview. He was just such a sweetheart, and he let us talk to his family. He was great. But what an experience. I was so young. I was 22 at the time. Didn't know what I was doing. I was pretty awkward on camera, but I got to go to the Final Four and cover it. And we went with News 3, because News 3 is the sister station to the station in La Crosse that I was at. So I got to go with Susan Simon and Michelle Lee, and I think Eric Franke was there too. Just these major names who I knew from interning.
At Channel 3.
But you so look up to them, and I really wanted to make them proud as a former intern, and I'd like to think I did, because shortly after that experience, I was asked back to News 3.
You get the call back to News 3, maybe based upon that Final Four work that you did.
Maybe.
But probably based upon your experience with them already. They knew a kind of a proven commodity. Talk about some of your memories then with Channel 3.
I really grew up at Channel 3. I was there from age 23 until, 34.
Really?
Yeah. So, the majority of those formative years for me were spent in the newsroom at Channel 3000. That station and all of those viewers, you guys really raised me in a way. So I get kind of emotional talking about it. I love that station. I love those people. I loved that career. But I look back on some of those managers and they were like parents to me. You're 23. You don't know what the heck you're doing. You're scraping dollars together to put together rent. You don't know. You're learning how to cook for yourself. You're learning how to be an adult and, develop the morals and values that you were raised with. How do you apply them as an adult? Those managers and those reporters, those Susan Simons and Eric Franke, Charlotte DeLestes, those people raised me. They taught me how to be in front of a camera and how to be in front of a community. So I have great memories of, I used to babysit Eric Franke's dog.
Oh, really?
Yep. So I would stay over at his house, feed his dog while he was gone. And I started to get a reputation for this. So I started animal sitting for a lot of people in the newsroom. So I was welcomed
Leah
into
Linscheid, the dog whisperer.
Yeah. So I guess if you're looking for a dog watcher at home, you give me a call.
It's a shame that, Eric Franke sticks around. Sarah Carlson goes and then comes back, and there's Gary Canalti,
yes,
and so many of these other people. But then there are other people that are there touching our lives for 8, 9, 10 years, like you, and some of the other people that are there only for a short period of time, and then they go on, but they stay in Madison, but then they go away, and become involved in the community in some different way. And now that's kind of what you're doing.
That is totally true. I am very proud to say that I now work for Findorf, which to me is synonymous with Madison. So I was really excited to have the opportunity to work at such an iconic Southern Wisconsin company. If you don't know, they're a construction company in Madison, and they're extremely well known for their community relations, for how often they pour their heart into volunteering, into philanthropic giving, into board involvement, into their community. I mean, these folks live here, they build here, they play here, they give back here. So I'm very proud to say I'm the newest member there. I'm their community relations manager. I guess not that new. I've been there 6 months now.
The face, sort of, or one of the faces?
One of the faces. I think there are so many people there who have been there for so long that deserve that recognition and that title. But I'm extremely proud to be strategizing and organizing their community relations and taking what they do so well already and trying to elevate it in any way that I can. And it's a natural transition from news. For me, the most fun part of news was being out in the community, meeting people, telling their stories, and in a way helping them. This is a bit more direct. I'm still out in the community meeting folks. I'm maybe not sharing their stories, but I am helping them in the way that Findorf can, which is, through philanthropic giving, through volunteering, through any sort of networking we can provide them. And I just couldn't be happier.
Another cog in the wheel.
Another cog in the wheel. You're right. We're all just working together.
Yes. Well, on October 11th, 2019, and we're going to start to get into a little bit of why you're here, and then the story that you're going to tell that I've heard already, and then just sharing how you got through a tough time. And I kind of sort of know what that's like, but it's all different for everybody and how they handle things. But on October 11th, 2019, you would get the call no one wants to get. And I received my call February 20th, the day before my birthday. It's not a call you want, but you would get the news that your younger brother, Levi, passed away in a one-car accident. Tell us about those first few hours, because the story is amazing in the backstory that maybe some people know, but maybe some people don't. I'm going to let you talk.
Boy, that day, this really just burned into my memory. At the time, I was a morning show anchor, so I went to bed very early. We had to be in at work for that shift at 2 or 3 a.m., depending on the day. So I was going to bed around 7, and my parents and my brother had a group text with me, and my brother had said he had just walked out of church. Some of his friends had gone to church with him. And my parents were in Dubuque that evening celebrating their wedding anniversary. So we were wishing them well, and then I went to sleep. The next day I woke up. It's 2 a.m. I went to work. I anchored a newscast from 4:30 until 7. I did some work in the newsroom. It was about 9:30, close to 10. I was getting ready to leave. And I saw one of my colleagues walk into my news director's office, and his office is all glass, and I could see she was crying. And I didn't think much of it. You know, it's not my business. Something must be going on if she wants to share. Shortly afterward, Colin, my news director, walked out and said, "Leah, I need to talk to you. We're going to head over to the HR office." And it still didn't really resonate with me at that time. I even said to him, I said, "Oh, I must be in trouble."
No one wants that call either.
No, and he didn't. I mean, he certainly didn't want it, and he didn't respond to that. And so I thought, oh, I am in trouble. So we headed back to the HR office, and my HR manager, Jeff, was there as well, and he had the Iowa County Sheriff on speaker. And it's so silly, Tim. I look back, I still didn't realize, I'm thinking, did I do a story with them that they're upset about? I do so many stories in Southwest Wisconsin. It just didn't register that the Iowa County Sheriff was on the phone to tell me that my brother died. He had been driving from Platteville to Dubuque, presumably to go see my parents, and flipped his white Jeep. He was on an overpass, and his Jeep sort of skidded along the sides of the overpass, and his Jeep ended up upside down in an embankment, so no one could see his lights. And so no one was able to call it in that night. And that's what really kills me, is that he was alone all night. Somebody should have been there with him. I should have been there with him. I worked an entire shift and had no idea he was all alone while I was anchoring the news. So they found him in the morning, and they couldn't find my parents. The Iowa County Sheriff lives next to my parents, actually. And so he went over to my parents' house, and they weren't home. So he knew I worked at News 3. He called the station, and he told me and asked if I could get a hold of my parents, because they were, again, in Dubuque. And when I got that call, I just sort of broke down and just kept saying, "He's just 24. He's just 24. Over and over, almost like a mantra, this can't be true because he's so young. There's no way. And I remember my boss, Colin, was just holding my hand so tight. He said, I remember him saying before the sheriff even said a word, he said, "This is going to be hard, but we have you." So to this day, I owe that man so much.
Very much like the community of Highland, which would wrap their arms around your entire family that whole next day, hours, weeks. You already mentioned it, that the family at Channel 3 probably did the same thing to you immediately, because you're there. And what do you need, and how can we help, and just trying to take care of you. And it's such a story that when I heard it, and then when I heard you tell it at our conference, it's still hard to believe the circumstances and the backstory, but for you to be so brave and to be able to talk about it and then have to be strong in a very tough situation is remarkable. It's inspiring. And I think when you share your story and talk about how you got through that, you're going to inspire some people to do some of the things that you were able to do in the hours, days, and weeks following that. And then you're also going to talk about how you've grown and matured and became a young woman and a mother and a wife who has got so many experiences that can benefit the rest of the world. And that's why I wanted to get you on the podcast, because of the way you explain things, talk about it, and provide inspiration, and the way you're so bold and strong for a young woman still. How you were able to get through that is, like I said, is inspiring.
I look back on that time and I think I'd like to tell myself, you are stronger than you think. You did something really impressive, and that is to take this awful news and to take care of your family and to move forward and try to find some positive in this whole. And I don't think any of us gives ourselves enough credit in those moments. It's like, oh, there are so many things I could have done better. There are moments I could have handled better. There are ways I could have protected my parents better. But where I sit today, 7 years later, I think you are so strong for what you went through. And you should be proud of yourself for how you handled a nightmare.
I think you'll be able to handle anything that comes at you for the rest of your life, because you had to go through what you had to go through, and you did get through it. And your coping strategies and the things you can share are probably going to help somebody.
I hope so. I
hope so too. I hope so. I know so. Because our listeners want to hear the rest of your story and what brought you to the podcast, I need to talk about our sponsor one more time. Buck and Honey's has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask, why Buck and Honey's? Owner Tom Anderson places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He has a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honey's does. And Survive and Thrive for Life, Bill Friedrich with his Team 212 training and the AEA Institute. That's why we are working with them. We help you build mental strength and physical health that lasts. Explore MindFit Academy and start training your mind for the long run at www.aea-neuro-fitness-academy.com. Leah Linscheid is in the Buck and Honey's Remote Studios to talk about how she has survived and thrived after the loss of her younger brother, Levi. She is here to share her story, to shed some light on what a great younger brother he was. Please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We will be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365, and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's Remote Studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. The podcast is where we feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. Today, I'm glad to be joined at the Team 212 AEA Institute Mental Health Desk by Leah Linscheid. She is here to talk about how she has coped with the loss of her brother Levi, who passed away in 2019 in a one-car accident. You'll hear the rest of her story and how she's been able to navigate life while raising a family of her own. So on October 11th, you get the call no one ever wants to get. You navigate those first few hours and days. Let's go back in time and have you tell us what kind of guy Leah Linscheid was. I know you talked about him a little bit, but let's revisit him again.
Oh boy, humble, kind, serving, community-minded. You know, I mentioned he was a fitness trainer. He was also a bartender. So he would see people, clients in the gym, and then he would also see them at the back bar in Platteville. But he had so many friends because of that. And I don't know if he was an old soul, but a lot of his friends were, you know, middle-aged, older. His best friend was a priest in his 50s who spent a lot of time with him and now spends a lot of time with us. Father Dave from Cuba City. Just the purest soul, the purest heart. He was so patient. He had so much more patience than I ever did. He took care of my parents, took care of all of us, really. He gave us some sort of a North Star, like what would Levi do? He was just, and I mean that. I'm sure it's so easy for people to say that about people who pass.
WWLD.
Yeah. I would ask myself that, especially when it came to my parents, because he was just simply so patient and kind. Never had a bad word to say about anyone. Very mild-mannered. And
you hope that your two boys grow up exactly like him?
I do. I really do. They're a little wild at 2 and 3, and you know, my memories of Levi again are just so mild-mannered, but I do hope so. In fact, we named one of our sons Elijah Levi after Levi, so I hope those morals pass on.
Do you see any comparisons with Levi and either one of your two boys?
I do, actually. My youngest, Eli, is also very pure and sweet. They're both lovely kids, but there's something about Eli that does, you know, make me reminisce of Levi because of the way he just is so simple and sweet. The daycare that we sent him to sent me a video today of him pulling like a dead dandelion out of his pocket and saying, "This is for Mom." It's just, he's sweet like that, like Levi.
Well, before we talk about what you went through following Levi's passing, I want to mention the 5 stages of grief that people go through. Some people go through them. People go through them at their own speed, and some people go through them pretty quickly. Some people get stuck. And, you know, I think with you being on and kind of with me touching on my own situation a little bit, I think you need to get through these things on your own time. But in order to, get through something like that, I think you have to go through these. But number 1 is grief. Number 2 is anger. Number 3 is bargaining. Number 4 is depression. And number 5 is acceptance. Since the show has a mental health component to it, how did your brother's death affect your mental health?
Right after he died, I had to go into fix-it mode because my parents were just so devastated. And in a way, I think they handled it better because they let their grief show. And instead, you know, I was going to the funeral home, making arrangements. I was going to the police department to get the police report. I was going to his apartment to clean it out. I was going to the bank to shut down his bank account so no fraud would take place. I was, you know, very task-oriented. And to this day, I'm very task-oriented instead of just sitting and being with the grief. And so I think that's extremely important when it comes to your mental health, is to just be present and feel and let it move through you. Because for a long time, I just compartmentalized, shut down, didn't talk about him. To this day, I don't think I talk about him enough. It's something that I work on constantly because I think it both honors his memory and helps me through this grieving process that will last our entire lives. But that mental health component, that just being present and sitting with those feelings, it's something I'm still trying to do.
You just listed off a bunch of things that I don't think people even think about doing when these kinds of things happen. Is somebody going to do these things? No, somebody in the family has to do them to, you know, protect things that are near and dear, and going to the bank and going to the police station and all of these other things that, you know, people need to be aware of. So I'm glad we're talking about them today. What kinds of symptoms were you experiencing once all of that, doing all that stuff, and you started to maybe grieve a little bit, or anger, feeling mad? What were some of the symptoms that you were maybe having that made you think, I got to get a grip on this. This is really starting to bother me. Was there anything that made you think, I need to talk to somebody?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the 5 stages you mentioned, there was certainly, I remember at the funeral, grief finally hit me after like a week of just knocking out tasks. There, I was like, I told my boyfriend, now husband at the time, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can bury him. And that was just grief and in a way bargaining, like, I can't do this, so we can't do it. We can't bury him. We can't because I can't do it. Anger, I was so mad that he was the one who was taken. He's such a lighter person than I am. I can be very heavy and I can be impatient. And why wasn't it me instead of this sweet, sweet boy? So there was a lot of anger. Of course, depression. Of course, you are sad. And of course, bargaining, especially in, some of the challenges we have had since we lost Levi, there is always bargaining. Like, if I do this, can you please save my father? How can I change? How can I exchange something for this grief? And I think sometimes, these stages, it's important to note you really, at least in my experience, you can flow from one to the other and then back. There have certainly been moments of acceptance for me, and then I can step back into anger 7 years later. I can step back into bargaining 7 years later. And then I can be at peace with it sometimes too.
I think I've heard the word linear, and I had to look it up.
Yeah.
That, it doesn't go from 1 to 2,
No.
2 to 3. It can go from 1 to 5 to 3 to 4. And I know in my personal situation with my brother, I don't think I accepted it until about 2021 when I finally just said, hey, he's gone, and I'm at his gravesite, and I finally came to grips with it that, okay, now I'm gonna start talking to him in a different way of not I wish you were here. Now I moved on to, hey, what's up? I kind of miss our conversations about the buck. We'd be if he were alive today, we'd be talking about the Bucks. So I've kind of reframed it now and not put it away, got it back out and did some communicating a little bit differently.
That's beautiful.
And that's helped me accept what happened going on 21 years ago now.
I love that mechanism.
How were you coping then when some of these things would come around? Were you, working out? Were you kicking were you on the farm? What were you doing? I know you talked about the work, but was there anything else you were doing besides that?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned working out. Levi was so physically active, especially as a personal trainer, that I really felt connected to him in the gym, and it was a great way to burn off this energy inside of me, this grievous energy or this angry energy. So I spent a lot of time in the gym. To this day, I spend a lot of time in the gym. It's just where I feel him closest. Sometimes I'll cry in the gym, again, 7 years later. But I always feel better after a workout, and I always feel a little bit closer to him. So that's been a very helpful coping mechanism.
And also feel a little bit better after a good cry.
Exactly. Yeah, if you let yourself cry.
Who were you leaning on for support? I know you just mentioned your boyfriend, now husband, parents, anybody else that was coming to your side?
Certainly my co-anchor, Josh. He was my best friend during that period. And after that period, he has become my brother. It was just Levi and I. I don't have any other siblings. And that's an incredible loss that I feel on my heart every day. You think this loss is painful, in the moment, and you'll remember it for years, but it's the everyday hole in your heart. There's no one to call and talk about your parents with. There's no one to, go visit on Christmas. I don't get nieces and nephews. So Josh has really filled that hole for me. I consider him a brother. I would do anything for him, and I know he would do anything for me, and he certainly did during that time.
And that's Josh Sprider.
That's Josh Sprider.
We handle situations in life and do the best we can when we're going through them. And you kind of alluded to this a little bit. Is there anything you would tell your younger self, knowing what you know about grief now, that you wish you could take that 28-year-old Leah and just say, hey,
Two things. One, you are stronger than you know. You are stronger than you know. You can handle so much more than you think you can. And two would be, don't be afraid of the grief. Sit with it. Be present. That is part of this process. Because if you don't sit with it now, you're going to sit with it later and it's going to be more painful. Sit with it now and feel this feeling. You are strong enough to handle it.
Love it. Great, great advice. Do you do anything to honor Levi now, other than slapping his name on your little guy?
That too. Yes, we hold a golf fundraiser and silent auction in his memory every June at the Back Bar in Platteville and at Coal Acres in Cuba City. They've been two fantastic partners. Big fan of Squeak Wallenhorst, who's the owner of the Back Bar. He was Levi's best friend, and he has spearheaded the charge in that. And it's been extremely successful. We've raised, I want to say, upwards of $40,000 in 7 years, all of that money going toward scholarships for students going into health in Highland. And it also helps pay for mentors in the biology department at UW-Platteville, because that was a class Levi took and struggled with, as we all did. So yeah, same.
My hands up.
Same, buddy. So very proud of that effort. My parents do a ton of work for that, and Squeak really supports us as his best friend.
Let's talk about what Leah Linscheid is doing now. I know you talked about Findorf, but are there any other things that you're passionate about?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm trying to spend as much time as possible with my family and with my kids. I am someone who is always running, and I don't mean that as like a humble brag. It's like an addiction, like I always have to be
You're
doing
part shark.
something.
You got to keep moving.
Yeah, I got to keep moving. And I try to tell myself, when you're doing that all the time, you're missing life. You're missing life. So to anyone out there who's listening and thinking they're like boss girling it up, I thought that too. But at some point, there's that old adage of the glass ball and the rubber ball. And there is this glass ball that is your family. And if you toss it up, it will fall and break. But that career and that career piece, it's a rubber ball. You can throw that up and it can bounce a little bit. So I'm trying to tell myself to spend a little bit more time at home and really prioritize the things that matter to me, which are my kids and my parents and my husband.
Good point. And I was going to squeeze this in. My good friend Ferris Bueller once said, if you don't slow down and look around, you're going to miss something. And I think I'm misquoting him, but it has something to do with that. And it took me a long time to learn that, but now I can see the birds, hear the birds, see all the beauty of the world because I'm slowing down now. And I like that.
It's important. It's very important. You'll always see me out in the community, but trying to take a step back and spend time with my family.
Excellent. This is where the subscribers, followers, and listeners take out the notebooks, pens, and pencils and jot some things down. Here are Leah Linscheid's 5 suggestions that have allowed her to survive and thrive the loss of a sibling. Here's what you shared, and this is a no-brainer, but I'm going to toss these in underhand softball style, and maybe since you're a former softball player, I'll windmill, and I'm going to have you hit these in 60 seconds or less.
I can do that.
Can you hit a softball?
I can hit a softball. You
Darn
better
right,
believe
darn
it.
right.
Heck yeah.
Darn right. Here's what you shared, and I'm going to have you hit these in 60 seconds or less. Number 1, talk about it. Go ahead and hit that.
Doesn't matter if it makes others uncomfortable, or even if you're uncomfortable talking about this grief, do it. Do it as an exercise. Talk to yourself, write it down, talk to a loved one, talk to strangers. But it's not only honoring their memory, it is also helping you work through this process of grief.
Excellent. Number 2, take time to grieve. Go ahead and hit that.
It is, as you mentioned, not a linear process. You're going to jump through those stages. You're going to feel differently day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. So give yourself time and give yourself grace, because this is a lifelong journey that a lot of people can relate to. A lot of people can't. So be your own biggest fan. Give yourself some grace and time to grieve.
Excellent. Number 3, find new purpose in your pain. Go ahead and hit that.
For us, it's been raising money for Levi's scholarship, again, to help students in Highland and students at UW-Platteville. But it doesn't need to be big and organized. It can be small. It can be how you live your life every day. It can be, what would Levi do?
I sense some wristbands coming in the future. What would Leah Linscheid do?
I like that.
LL.
I like that.
Number 4, get involved in your community.
This is a way to give back and to keep their memory alive, and to make new friends along the way, make new allies, because this journey is lonely if you're doing it alone.
And number 5, provide information and resources to help others through the storytelling of others. And you were very good at that.
And I hope we're doing that right now, Tim, sharing our story and sharing how we got through it, and hoping that that makes a difference to at least one person who's listening to us today.
I think this is going to help more than one person. Get 2 people here, and certainly reach out to me. I will drop Leah's information in the podcast promo, the story notes. I think you can reach out to her via her social media pages.
Absolutely.
She's the kind of person that will pick up the phone, answer the email like you did a few months ago, and I'm so glad that you did, because your story, I think, is so riveting, powerful, inspiring. And I already mentioned how strong a woman that I think you are, that you just got a lot to give, and you have a gift, and you know how to express that with your words and your professional background that has allowed it to roll off your tongue. So it's amazing stuff.
Boy, you're too kind to me, Tim.
What an episode. I'm so glad you could join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew today. Your approach to life and how you managed to navigate life after the loss of your younger brother is inspiring. By sharing your story today, I guarantee that this will help someone to cope just like you have and I. Call to action. Leah Linscheid just shared her story and how she has lived a very great life despite what was thrown at her and her family on October 11th, 2019. She has remained upbeat and positive. She wanted to share her story and how she has gotten to where she is today. Here are Leah Linscheid's 5 suggestions to survive and thrive. Number 1, talk about it. Number 2, take time to grieve. Number 3, find new purpose in your pain. Number 4, get involved in your community. And number 5, provide information and resources to help others through the storytelling of others. Final thoughts as we close another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. Are there any final thoughts? Leah Linscheid.
Huge thank you to everyone at News 3 who has supported me over the years, and to Findorf now for giving me an opportunity to, stretch my wings and fly in a new way. A huge thank you to my husband who's been by my side before, during, and after this tragedy. My kids who give me new purpose. My parents who raised the best son they could have.
And I'm going to add on that they did a wonderful job raising an amazing young woman who has got years left ahead of you. And your story and the gift you have to be able to express what people need to get through, and the good and the bad and everything, is just, very inspiring.
Tim, I just got to thank you for taking the time to let me come on and speak my truth and hopefully make a difference for others.
It took a lot of bravery on my part to craft up the email, or however I got a hold of you.
And send it 5 times
then,
because I was so hard to get a hold of. I swear that's not normal. I swear that's not normal.
Hit the send button, and then we finally, it was meant to happen.
It was meant to happen.
It was just not on our time because we're big religious people. It was on God's time.
It was on God's time. You're right.
Now, in our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios, and the Team 212 and the AEA Institute Mental Health Desk will share how they learn to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share, or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.